In this video, you'll learn how to use the Summary BI dashboards, which show your anticipated costs, revenue, and work in progress, with bars, charts, and grids. From a project homepage, you can click Project Analytics to open the list of analytical reports. The category Project Financials is already selected, as is the project from which you opened this window. If the project has only one approved prime contract, it is also selected. If it has more than one prime contract, you can select the contract to view, or if you leave it blank, the report will show all prime contracts. You can also get to the same page by clicking Analytics in the left navigation. We'll start by looking at a single project, and then we'll talk about multi-project reports. Before running a report, be sure to click Review Anticipated Costs and Review Field % Complete to verify that the latest values have been entered. We covered these in more detail in other videos. Having these up to date is the means of calculating projected costs accurately. Under Optional Date Filter, you can select a range of dates on which to filter transactions. The Help Center has an article with details about how these filters are applied. You can find it by going to Reporting and Analytics, Project Financials. By default, the reports will show only active projects, but you can also select inactive if you want to include them. The Reports area has several tabs that let you target the type of report you need to see. We'll talk about the Overview tab in a moment, but let's start by looking at cost reports. Two groups of reports are available, and we'll look at summary dashboards in this video. In an earlier video, we covered analytical reports. You have a couple of broad groups of reports here. You can see committed costs and cost to date together on one report, or you can view committed costs, cost to date, or projected costs. Let's start with the committed cost overview by resource type. You see key performance indicators, or KPIs, showing the percentage of the total budget committed, and then a breakdown of percentages by resource type. The pie chart and heat map shows the information visually. The heat map shows committed costs for each cost code, with the size of the rectangle based on the amount relative to other cost codes. When you hover over a rectangle, the tooltip shows the cost code and committed cost total. When you click a rectangle, the key performance indicators change to show percentages for only the cost code you clicked. Click again to return to the summarized view. In an earlier video, we talked about which transaction types are included in the committed cost calculation: purchase orders, bills not from purchase orders, subcontracts, subcontract change orders, employee miscellaneous expenses, labor and equipment timecards, and anticipated costs. Remember that anticipated costs are considered committed costs, unless the report relates to project's cost at completion. In that case, anticipated costs fall under projected costs. Make sure you've entered and approved all of these transaction types to date for the project, in order for the dashboard to give you the most accurate picture possible of the project financial status. Any costs not covered by one of the other transactions should be captured in anticipated costs. You can compare this report to the cost to date overview by resource type, which has a similar layout. These calculations are based on actual costs incurred so far rather than committed costs. The projected cost at completion gives you a similar visual representation of your project remaining costs. Remember that these types of dashboards rely on your having entered all commitments, time cards, miscellaneous expenses, and anticipated costs, as well as field % complete values. On the Revenue tab, the Cash Flow Analysis overview gives a clear picture of revenue, committed cost, cost to date, and cash flow. Let's view that same dashboard again but for multiple prime contracts. Select Multi-Project and Primes, and then click View, select Projects and Primes. Select the projects to include, and then click Filter. This time, instead of the heat map showing totals for each cost code, you see a grid showing each project and prime contract with revenue and cost amounts. On the other tabs, there are fewer dashboards for multiple projects, so we'll return to single project and prime reports. On the Labor tab, the Labor Hours Overview report shows approved labor timecards as a percentage of the revised budgeted hours, and the project remaining hours as a percentage of the revised budgeted hours. You see the same calculations in terms of cost instead of hours on the right. On the other tab, you have a change order analysis dashboard which can be useful for evaluating the types of change orders you're addressing on a project, and how they might be mitigated. Again, the grid and charts pop out so you can view all columns at once. On the Revenue tab, notice that you have two WIP reports, one for committed cost subtotals, and one for revised cost budgets. The WIP overview using committed cost subtotals shows gross amounts for the project, compared to the projected cost at completion, which is based on committed costs. The WIP overview, using the revised cost budget, shows gross amounts for the project compared to the total cost budgets remaining. You'll see the prime invoice gross, the gross cost % of cost budget, earned revenue, and over and under billed amounts. In order for these reports to give an accurate picture, your accounting team must keep over and under billing entries up to date in the general ledger. Note that summary dashboards can be customized using the built-in report editor. A quick way to get started is to click Copy next to one of the dashboards. This creates a copy on the Custom tab, from which you can click the pencil to begin editing it. You can find detailed instructions for customizing dashboards in the Help Center. Go to Projects, General Info, Project Analytics, Custom BI Summary Dashboards to get started. In this video, you learned how to use the summary dashboards, which show your anticipated costs, revenue, and work in progress with bars, charts, and grids.